I think it's interesting, this thing that Michael Dell's doing with $6.25 billion. You probably remember that Trump signed this thing called the Big Beautiful Bill. And one of the things in that are these Trump accounts. Yeah, I know Trump accounts, but I think that there's actually a lot more to this. I think that it will change the social contract in America. And the Trump account means that you can put money and invest it in the stock market on behalf of a child until they turn 18. The $1,000 you've heard about is just this like special seed money for kids born between January 1st, 2025 and December 31st. But like I said, there's a lot more to this because it sets up a way where parents can put in money up to $2,500 annually, but it's capped at $5,000 because the accounts are designed for other people, employers, local governments, philanthropic groups, and relatives. And you'll see what I mean here. This is interesting because other people can help fill in up to $5,000 a year. And if that happened, by the time they're 18, the kid's account would have almost $200,000 in it. And this thing that Michael Dell and his wife are doing by giving basically everybody but rich kids, which is like 80% of kids under 10, $250 for their Trump accounts. It's a total gift of almost $6.25 billion. It shows you what the vision of Trump accounts is more, which is this vision that other entities can contribute to the future of America by investing in children. There's two senators on two sides, so Ted Cruz and Cory Booker, working together to solicit big corporations to put into these Trump accounts. They're lobbying the CEOs of the biggest 1,000 companies in the United States. And I told you, this is an attempt to change the social contract in America because you look at where Democrats are going with like Mamdani, where he like talks about distribution of wealth. But this vision of the Trump accounts is a totally different vision. And it's not totally new. These economists started proposing this. They called them baby bonds in 2010. And the idea here is that rather than wealth distribution, you focus on asset accumulation. Also because it does more than just give the money. It introduces more Americans to investing, and it's actually a social program designed to fight wealth inequality. And this isn't just like an idea. There's actually experiments that have been done on this. So a study started 18 years ago, gave 2,700 kids in Oklahoma basically similar accounts, and it found that in addition to asset building, the accounts had a wide range of social benefits for both the children and their parents. Because basically the families have a stake in the success of America. Basically, every family and every child in the country becomes a stockholder. It introduces people to capitalism and gives the whole country an interest in the stock market. And I think you can just imagine that psychologically it's really different if every kid in America has owned some stock in the biggest employers in the country. You create this kind of ownership society, which is definitely something that like Teddy Roosevelt would have been into, some of our greatest leaders. You know, they talk about this in a lot of their speeches, like in his famous Man in the Arena speech. And also, it is a different way of attacking this problem with the entitlement crisis. Because being real about it, a lot of the ways that Americans rely on retiring now, that's all going to have to change because it's just not working. People are living to 100. These programs start at 65. They're guaranteed benefits for life. And in addition to all that, these Trump accounts create this huge pool of what they call patient capital. That means that companies will have people owning shares of their company that aren't going to trade it that much, which encourages the companies to invest in research and development and infrastructure rather than focusing on short-term gains. And honestly, all this is by design. There's this group called Invest America, and it exists specifically to make the Trump accounts a bridge between companies and philanthropists, where they can help families build long-term savings for their children. Exactly like what Michael Dell and his wife are doing. I mean, being real about it, it's really different to, as philanthropy, just donate to the children of America through Trump accounts. And when it comes to changing the social contract, I mean, you see like these people on the left, the union Reddit, they say workers versus investors. That's because currently investing, ownership in the stock market is not really democratized. It's heavily concentrated in one area. But this would actually democratize finance. And this is a piece in Jacobin, which is like the most far left publication you can get. And they're talking about this. Also, it encourages financial literacy. A lot of these children and their parents will look at the Trump accounts, wonder what they are, see how stocks go up and down. especially in minority groups. Because if you look at this, like, a lot of there's 66% of white families own some stock, but only 28% of Hispanics, only 39% of black families. All these families will now own shares of basically American companies. They'll have skin in the game. And this is a famous book about this topic by this famous economist writer. And basically what the book talks about is that the big problem with people not having skin in the game is that there aren't these mechanisms for error correction because they're not invested in this situation. But when you do something like this, when Michael Dell and his wife give basically $250 to all of the kids in America under 10, every family has skin in the game. So, I gotta say, I think the Trump accounts were pretty interesting.